Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Saturday, May 17th, 2024. Oh my gosh. Yes, it's one of those shows we're going to have a good time. This is our show that we come together for our international audience. Why? Because UFOs just don't happen in the United States, friends. It's something that's a worldwide phenomenon, something that's seen everywhere. And yes, we've been talking a lot about the FBI, just like in the X-Files, going out and investigating UFOs. And we're going to be having a continuation of that conversation here on the show tonight. Yeah, we're going to have a good time, my friends. So let me go ahead and jump into the studio next and welcome in our audience. Who the heck am I talking about? Let's go ahead and jump in, and there we go. Let's find out who in the heck we have out there. Bring up the list and welcome, chat. Good to see everybody here in today's episode. We have Amiga Rule. Oh, I got to start the drums on that. Yes, we've got Amiga Rules here along with Andy W. and Anton Ghost. Digger Dogs here along with Eliza Teal and Firefly. Frazzle says... Yes, just says. Geraldine Durazio's here along with Greg Jedi, Idaho Strong, J-Cat, John Myatt Lockett's here along with Joseph Marino, Kathy, Caitlin, and Kelly Brote. Those amazing piercing blue eyes. Good to see you, Kelly. We got King Bull, Maritime Unprepared, Ms. Cuss Out, Niles Guy, Paul Damon. Got to remember, Niles Guy is our resident pit bull. He's also one of our mods, so behave, everybody. He's got his eyes on you. Paul Damon is here along with Roni Deal. We've got Sam, Steve Hines, the Chromosome Cowboy, Tom Clark, Two Midgets on a Horse. Hey, guys, you're in northern Idaho. Did you go out and see the Aurora last night? You should have, because it was one heck of a show. Tom Clark was around along with Vern Dude. How about that? Let me quiet that down and let me jump into the studio. Where's that one? Mike, Disclosure. How the heck are you, my friend?
Oh, no, I'm doing well today, Thomas. It's Saturday, our international show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about in regards to all the news that's been going on this week. It's interesting. And even as of today, there's still updates that are continuing.
Yeah, we're going ahead and talking about the title card for today's show, Mike, which is Representative Luna, who basically finished off a sentence saying, yeah, it's maybe time to go ahead and reconsider Aaro. That is one heck of a strong statement. And I think, Mike, is this stemming from their meeting with the FBI?
Absolutely, Thomas. They had the other day 2 classified briefings. One in the morning with Aaro, and they were shown some videos, typical Aaro stuff, that if you've seen what they released to the public, it isn't much different from what they showed members of Congress.
Right.
And there was nothing really to see there, obviously. And then in the afternoon, they had another classified meeting with the FBI that has its own, it seems like, X-Files task force. And they was shown actual UAP videos that they haven't seen before in high detail. And it seems that the FBI has been acting with due diligence and properly investigating this subject, and was able to provide for them new information that the FBI is working on. And Representative Eric Burlison had commented afterwards and said that of all the meetings he's been to, this by far was the most professional and organized and impressive to any of the ones he's been to before. He was referring to the FBI meeting.
So what sounds like is going on, Mike, from a outsider's perspective, which we all are to a big degree, is that the FBI is actually doing a better job than Aaro, first of all. Secondly, they're actually sharing real evidence of real sightings and not giving the same bullshit answers that's gone on for the last several years that Aaro's been with us.
Since the inception of Aaro under Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, it has been a shit show and not properly been investigating this topic, which is its mandate under the law from Congress. And they have been doing the opposite of that. But now Congress, for the first time, was able to see that another organization, the FBI, that is also looking into this, has been purely professional and successful in coming up with information related to UAP, which is like night and day from what Aaro has been doing this entire time. It's been a real shit show with Aaro, and now it looks like for the first time, Congress is actually getting to see that for themselves firsthand.
Yeah. You know, it's amazing that I believe the conversation with Luna took part during that tag team with what's the guy's name?
That was with Rep. Eric Burlison.
Right.
That was the
no,
other
but
day.
There was a picture out there of Matt Laszlo talking with Luna in a car, and right next to him is the guy from Joe Khalil from News Nation. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they are both in Washington, D.C., and they are both covering the congressional beat. And they seem to be interviewing the same congressmen or congresswomen at the same time. So they decided to team up together and conduct these interviews together.
Well,
which
Mike,
is interesting.
Going ahead and bringing up one of your two tweets that are gaining a lot of attention over on X. Let me just read through it. Want me to read through it for you, Mike?
Yes, please, Thomas.
All right, let me go ahead and bring this in here. Right, breaking: Representative Anna Paulina Luna, chair of the Secrets Task Force, told Matt Laszlo, and along with Joe Khalil, that after yesterday's two classified briefings, one with Aaro and one with the FBI, she's seriously reconsidering Aaro's credibility. It gets a little bit deeper than that. They're reconsidering whether Aaro or not should be there. In the morning, Luna and other members of Congress were shown UAP videos by Aaro, videos that showed virtually nothing. Later in that day, the FBI held a separate SCIF briefing, and at this time, the video showed clear UAPs in high detail. This is the kind of disclosure that should be going on, at least to members of Congress, because they're legally entitled to oversight over Aaro, aren't they, Mike?
Well, they are. They were put into law from Congress with the UAPDA that authorized Aaro for the funding and the mandate to properly investigate this topic.
Well, and it wasn't the UAPDA, I believe, wasn't it the what do you call it? Not the
IC.
No, not the IAA. The IAA. No, I guess it was the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act. Boy,
yes. It was that funded and authorized Aaro.
Right, which means if they don't like Aaro anymore, there is a new NDAA that comes out every single year. So if the people in the House of Representatives are serious about getting rid of Aaro, they could do it with legislative action coming out of the committees and change the text of the NDAA to terminate that unnecessary spending, because like Todd T says in the chat, Aaro is likely a fly paper operation.
Oh, I've been saying that, and you and I have been talking about it for a long time now. Fly paper operation.
Yeah. So, as you said, Representative Eric Burlison described the FBI meeting as professional, well-organized, and filled with new substantial material. He said that Aaro had none of these. The FBI even asked for direct authority and funding to lead UAP investigations, a quiet but a major move to sideline Aaro. This begs the question, has Aaro ever been credible? Is its future now in jeopardy? It's been obvious to many, myself included, that's Mike, that Aaro has long been a shit show. Quote. When it comes to UAP transparency, now members of Congress are seeing that reality for themselves. Now, will the FBI take the reins? Is Aaro being exposed from within? Great. Any thoughts from our friends in the back? It looks like Syrup has his hand up. Syrup, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far off topic, but I came across something interesting. And there is a play for Aaro to be relevant. And that is, if Grusch cannot get his SCI clearance, he could still give Aaro the SCI level information.
He can't. He cannot communicate it to him unless he's in a skiff.
He's in a skiff, correct. But the play would be to also get members of Congress in the same skiff along with Aaro, because he can't just give the members of Congress this SCI level information. The only way he could do that is if someone from Aaro, or Aaro, however you say it, is present during the skiff, right?
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
You're misunderstanding this. No, it's incorrect. David Grusch must be in possession of SCI clearance to be able to share information or go into a skiff with anybody, not just Aaro.
The way the law is written for Aaro, that's not true. Aaro can receive SCI level information as long as it's UAP related.
They can receive it, but the problem is that for Grusch doesn't have the clearance necessary to get into the skiff to go ahead and give that information to Aaro. Number two, Aaro, as it was stated before by David Grusch, that Aaro lacks the clearance necessary to go ahead and hear the information coming from him. Now, remember, a lot of information that what do you call it? Grusch has may be at the presidential USAP unacknowledged special access program level,
which is not answerable or has any direct oversight from Congress because it's coming from the executive branch. And also, Syrup, I could tell you that Chuck McCullough, who was the former Intelligence Community Inspector General, has been representing David Grusch since he came forward. And when he appeared at the UAP hearing on July 26th of 2023, Chuck McCullough told him that he cannot go and speak to Aaro about the information that he gathered in his 4-year, 40-witness investigation under the UAP task force. The reason for that being is that if David Grusch was to provide information about these unacknowledged special access programs that are housing the crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs, they are embedded and hidden in prosaic, normal intelligence SAPs, but Aaro does not have the clearance to hear information on anything that is unrelated to UAPs. And because the government for 80 years has been hiding this shit within normal programs, that's why he couldn't testify to Aaro. That's why you're not able to get him in a skiff unless his clearance has been restored, which it hasn't been.
Wait, but there.
Okay. So, sorry. So I just want to understand clearly. I apologize. So the reason why he cannot give the information is because it's not UAP related, because the information is hidden under prosaic explanations, right?
Correct. In prosaic programs that you would have to need to know information about those programs and what they're involved in to hear information about it. But the government, being as smart as it is, has properly hid these UAP programs in normal programs. That's how they've gotten away with this the whole time. So, no, there's no legal mandate to have Aaro or anybody else unless they're in a skiff setting and Grusch has his full clearances restored to hear any of that information directly. That's what's been going on behind the scenes, sir.
Got you. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem.
If
That's
we
what we're here
can,
for.
Ashes, you have your hand up next.
Thank you, Thomas. Very interesting conversation, because I would have thought that it would be possible at first when Syrup brought it up, but I understand why it wouldn't be. So that means also that former military too couldn't brief Congress in a skiff as well if they needed to. So that makes sense then why a lot of these whistleblowers are breaking protocol and coming forward without going through the hoops that they normally do.
Right.
And I have been looking at Aaro's website and all their public information for a while, and they're like everybody else. They just say, "Oh, it's balloons. Oh, it's something we don't know what it is, but it's not anything like, you know."
It's all prosaic, actually.
Yes.
According to Aaro.
Also, what Matt Brown came forward and told us about, because it was underneath a file labeled board game, correct?
The Immaculate Constellation was labeled under a file that was War Games. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was hidden, and they thought that it would be safe because it was hidden in plain sight.
That's right. And then Matthew Brown also recently revealed that these UAP reverse engineering and crash retrieval programs, they number in the hundreds to thousands that are compartmentalized and spread out throughout the government. That's another reason why they've been hidden for so long.
Absolutely. And they do the same thing with different scientific projects that they have going on, like IR by DARPA, and different things like that. They put it out in public information what the project is, but we never hear about the outcome because they use it for confidential programs, typically.
And the other thing that Thomas and I have talked about a lot over the years has been that one of the other favorite resting places for the federal government on these UAP programs is within the national laboratories throughout the United States that are controlled, owned, and operated by the Department of Energy.
Yeah.
Why? Because under the 1954 Atomic Energy Act, anything involved under DOE with nuclear secrets is exempt from FOIA and does not have direct congressional oversight. So good luck in finding anything buried there.
Hey, Mike, if you're on Wi-Fi, you may want to switch over to cellular.
Am I breaking up right now?
Yeah, your words are coming out. You can just hear that compression coming in because there's something going on with your signal.
It seems that's been happening a lot lately.
Yeah, it does.
I know it's been annoying to me too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do know that a few of the universities that have been involved in these projects have been like Battelle Memorial Institute and Harvard University, for instance, like Avi Loeb.
Oh my God. Yeah, Avi Loeb. But then if you look at Battelle Memorial Institute has been a part of the cover up all along because they run all the national Department of Energy laboratories across the United States. So
they do, and they were created in 1937, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And Battelle has been, like Thomas pointed out, been at the heart of the conspiracy in burying this information.
Right. Now, if I could really quick, Mike, there is a comment from Sam in the audience I want to bring up. He says Kirkpatrick poisoned Aaro from the start. You know, If you go to a McDonald's, I used to say this a long time ago, you would go to a McDonald's or a restaurant or you go to a store and you're dealing with the cashier and the cashier is rude and doesn't handle the situation right, doesn't give you what you order and gives you attitude and makes it sound like you're asking for too much. You can look at the employee who's doing it, but really and truthfully, the person who's responsible for that and in charge of that is the manager. So you have to look at what Kirkpatrick has done. Now we got good old John Kozlowski in there, who's, you know, they're getting some more stuff out. But the problem it has been the management of Aaro, meaning the executive structure that goes on at the DoD that he reports up to, is telling him what to do, what not to do, what they can talk about and what they can't talk about. And they've got a true bulldog, if you want to call it, in Aaro. Let me see if I can find it here to bring it up. The one, the only, Susan Goff. She's there for a reason because she's there to go ahead and prevent the disclosure of information that the DoD clearly does not want released. So again, we could blame it on, and again, she is also an individual working at the DOD. She's not running solo. She's got a reporting structure she goes up into that are telling her to be this way. And they're enabling these behaviors and everything that goes on with it. So it comes down to it. Again, we can look at who are the individuals that are public facing, but who do they report to? Who is giving them the bounds of what they can say, what they can't say, what they need to avoid, and more importantly, what they need to deflect and distract on?
That's correct, Thomas. You're absolutely right about that. And let's remind the audience that at that shit show of a hearing way back when Scott Bray had come forward and testified and claimed to not have any knowledge about UAPs, but he did ensure to Congress that now that he has been made aware of it publicly, he is going to do everything in his power to find and release whatever information the government may have on this topic.
Right.
And what he did is the very next day, he created the National Security Guide, which is relevant and current as of today, that said any and all UAP-related material will go directly through Susan Goff, and all of it is classified now.
But it's not just information from the military. It has been that
the whole of government,
the entire fucking federal government, from from the East Coast to the West Coast and everything in between. Oh, we can't forget Puerto Rico, and you can't forget Alaska or Hawaii. So, but anywhere within our territories. She is the one person who's responsible for all that. And more importantly, coming out of that new classification guide that was put out there, besides empowering Susan to do her job, she went to school. What did she go to school for? Or what did she have a degree in, Mike? Wasn't it?
She rose to the rank as a woman. This is impressive. She rose to the rank of a full bird colonel in the United States Army. And she was in charge of psychological operations, PSYOPs.
Yeah.
That's what her credentials are for this position she's currently in. Amazing.
Yeah.
Not trustworthy, not anything I would take, and I don't expect any type of disclosure to come from an individual like that. And so far, we haven't gotten anything.
She's equivalent. She's equivalent to the public speaker like they had in the Hunger Games, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that.
Again,
So
they're doing their job that the administration who's in control at the DOD is telling her to do, or telling him to do. So, yeah, they put Aaro in the wrong place, Mike. They should never have put Aaro in the DOD. They should have put it completely in the office of the ODNI.
Well, that might have changed things, but again, under the current National Security Guide, they can't go against that unless the ODNI will declassify those files, which is what Tulsi Gabbard should be currently working on.
And hopefully she is.
Yeah, she's working on the information and the agenda of the current the Secrets Task Force that Representative Anna Paulina Luna is running. And they made that public that they're looking into, I believe, JFK, RFK, MLK, Epstein files, and eventually, sooner or later, maybe UAP.
Yeah. Wasn't there another like 6 crates or cases or something of a whole bunch of additional files that were just found, but actually they've literally been hidden away, that Tulsi is going and declassifying, and they're deep enough to go ahead and have another hearing. So it sounds like they may be getting a little bit deeper into that hole of the whole Kennedy assassination.
Yeah, but as far as the second JFK hearing that was just announced by Luna, that's going to be happening on May 20th this year. The focus of that hearing, to my understanding, is to listen to surviving witnesses that were present during the JFK assassination.
Oh, boy.
They have been able to locate these witnesses, and they're going to have them speak publicly. And I think one of the reasons for that was because they got such tremendous pushback. And what a shit show that first JFK hearing actually was.
Yeah.
That they decided to, instead of having a movie director talk about this, who doesn't have firsthand knowledge, they decided to try to clean up their act a little bit by putting up people that are still alive that may have some information that they could share publicly. I'm not impressed by that, just so you know, and neither are you. And I don't think it's going to help untarnish the image of Luna and the task force currently. Yeah. But that's what they did, as opposed to, instead of scheduling that, I think that they should have made a priority of rescheduling the UAP hearing that was originally scheduled for Monday, May 12th, 2025.
Before you get to it, Mike, in breaking news, you actually have a tweet on this one out there as well.
Yes, sir, I do.
Yeah, should we go ahead and go through it?
Please, let's do it.
All right, so breaking, the UAP hearing scheduled for May 12th, 2025 was canceled. More likely it was never scheduled, because if it had ever been scheduled, Mike, it would have shown up on the House Oversight Committee's calendar, and it never showed up. But either way, Representative Anna Polina Luna told Matt Laszlo from Ascapol the reason. Christopher Mellon, Lou Elizondo, and David Grusch all reportedly got sick at the same time and couldn't attend. But here's the kicker. No new date for the UAP hearing has been announced. Instead, Luna said, we're just talking about there's going to be a second JFK assassination hearing scheduled for May 20th. Now, what are the red flags? One, why is Congress moving ahead with the JFK hearing before rescheduling the long-awaited UAP hearing? What's behind this delay? Why does Congress keep on stalling when the public and whistleblowers are ready? Most importantly, how long are we expected to wait for the real answers? Don't forget, we are still missing the second installment of the historical UAP report. We're also missing information of SCU. Remember, they had that video and analysis they were going to have of seeing from multiple pilots of a UAP that was over a mile long flying over the Pacific. That went away. We were Aaro was supposed to give us hearings, I believe, and reports on a quarterly, if not biannual basis. And it's been a long time since we've had a hearing. Remember, at the end, after the last hearing we had, and it was last October, Mike, November. That was in the House of Representatives. There was supposed to be another hearing following up shortly thereafter that was announced by Kirsten Gillibrand in Congress. So there's all these opportunities of reporting this information to the general public, but where's the beef? Where's the hearings? Why is it that all these things are being promised and then they never happen? I mean, I understand that people could be sick, but it's like they've got, what was it called? They've got the skiff flu.
The Lou flu.
Lou flu.
And they have it all at the same time. But then the question, as you and I have been talking about, is if these three individuals did in fact become ill, why would that have a direct impact on canceling a hearing that was already scheduled? It shouldn't, right?
No, it shouldn't, Mike.
Right. So that is not really an explanation as far as you and I are concerned, Thomas.
Oh, absolutely. If we can, let's get the Sergeant Daniel, USMC, in the back. You have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah. So as far as the whole putting all of our eggs in one basket, I really don't think that the government's going to help us out at all. I don't think they're going to give us anything. I think, anybody who's talking with permission, I don't think we can trust them at all. I think that Luna might be on the right track, but then all of a sudden they're going to find out what kind of fetishes she's into and then stop her from talking or whatever. They're going to be able to use all their power to stop whatever's coming. I think our only, and you can't trust Trump now either, because, he, who knows if he's going to come out and tell us the truth, because he already hasn't. As far as the drones and all that crap goes. So I think our only shot is hopefully they don't fry these whistleblowers, put them in jail or execute them or whatever, and just lean on the fact that, they're under orders not to speak. But if those orders are not lawful, if they're breaking the law, I can't order you to execute someone unlawfully, or you can't. That's a thing in the Marines or in the service. They have to be lawful orders. They can't be, just arbitrary. So, if the whole program's unlawful, well, then they might not be lawful. So I'm just hoping that more and more people come forward and and eventually we'll get the straight scoop from someone who actually has their own pictures or has their own, have a finger from one of these aliens or something,
Yeah.
We would even settle if they had only an asshole from one of these aliens. Doesn't matter. We'll take it.
An alien asshole.
Right. Well, listen, their rosy red rectums, they could bring it out on full display for the public. We would take it without any questions.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be able to shit, though, aren't they? Supposed to come out through their pores of their skin or something? Wasn't that what they said?
Potentially, depending on what.
There's been allegations that they go to the bathroom through the pores in their skin. I wouldn't want to touch one of these fucking things, but I'm not a scientist, so I don't have to.
It's getting like kids' movies. Everyone likes talking about poop.
Yep, there you go. Yeah. It's a universal constant, I believe.
Or constipation and some other needs. Let's thank you. Appreciate those comments. Yes, and let's move on from talking about rosebuds. And Laura Campbell, you have your hand up, my dear lady.
Yeah, I still think Luna is very smart, and she has some other things up her sleeve, perhaps a film, and she's not a pushover. And I do believe there is going to be a hearing for UAP coming up. They're just going to take care of this JFK first and then get through. Yeah. And I think this hearing is going to have some witnesses, and I think there'll be a lot of witnesses no one's heard of before. And so just be patient.
Yeah.
That's all. Don't give up yet.
Oh, not yet at all. There is been some speculation over on X from several people talking about the possibility of Lou, Grusch, and Mellon actually all came together and went into a skiff, that the things that they would potentially talk about, whether it's known or not known, they could then become, if you want to call it, lock them down, become classified and prevent them from talking about it elsewhere. Kind of stuff we've talked about, issues with Aaro in the past, Mike.
That's absolutely right. That's one of the reasons why it operates like a flypaper operation. It takes any and all information that comes into it, and it buries it deep under NDAs and classifications. And they've been successful at that the entire time that they've been operating, thanks to Sean Kirkpatrick. And as far as Joe Kozlowski is concerned, the current director of Aaro, let me point this out real quick. Recently, Deputy Director Tim Phillips had trashed and threw David Grusch and Matthew Brown under the bus publicly. And this all occurred under the watch of the new director of Aaro. So I don't like that. It's a bad look. It's bad optics. And it doesn't give anybody the impression that Aaro is pro-disclosure at this point.
Right. Unless both of these schmucks are following the direction of the people who are over Aaro. So what's going on? There's a rat in there somewhere. We need to find that rat. We need to point out that rat. Bring in a freaking if not rat or roach, then bring in the roach motel, whatever it is, and bring it out and show it to everybody and expose the person for the cover up that they have been facilitating.
Well, like you pointed out many times before on the show, and we've covered this. Where does the buck stop? And who does Aaro answer to? Well, we both know the answer to that. It's the executive branch. It goes right to the White House.
Yep.
They are in charge. They're calling the shots. They're giving the orders. So this is not happening in a vacuum.
Nope.
This is not an unknown. Right. So you've been right the entire time. And you know what? Even Dr. Hal Puthoff said the exact same thing that you've been saying all these years, that it ends at the White House. And until we get disclosure from the executive branch, we're not going to get any disclosure at all. So he's agreeing with the points that you and I have been making about this the entire time.
Yeah. Now, we do have an audio statement from a member of Aaro. Let's hear what they say.
Okay. That about sums it up.
That's exactly.
I agree. Yeah.
Now,
but the FBI is not saying that, are they?
No, they're not. No, we have 4 people in the back with their hands up. Let's get to it. Let's see who we have next. Syrup, your hands up, my friend.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear.
Okay,
I just had to mute you before, Syrup, when you were talking because there was noise coming in through your mic. So
I apologize for that. I probably left
no
it
problem, my friend.
Okay, so what's the significance, right? You mentioned Gabbard, right? What's the significance of her relocating?
Declassifying. Oh, you mean?
Yeah, she relocated.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. You were going to say what was out recently, that she is trying to transition the Central Intelligence Agency away from the presidential daily briefings. Is that what you mean, sir?
Yeah, exactly. What's the significance of that? Is that what do you guys make of that?
In my opinion, I could tell you that it's not really accomplishing much, because the CIA definitely has jurisdiction and purview to include information that they work on, which includes intelligence from around the world, in the presidential daily briefing. You can't exclude them from that. You're never going to get them completely out of the mix. So I think it's more for the optics than it is for doing any actual good on that subject.
Got you. And one more thing I wanted to mention earlier. We were talking about Kirkpatrick, and now that the FBI looks like they're playing ball with disclosure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a possibility that the feds go after people like Kirkpatrick, or they start digging and exposing the illegal activities of things? Not that the feds are involved. What do you think of that?
That's a lot more complicated than it seems, because for them to do that, they would then need to include Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, who would do the actual prosecution. And unless they get orders from the top, meaning the White House, to prosecute any people that have been obstructing or in the way of disclosure, and to my knowledge, they haven't received orders like that. It's not going to happen, Sarah. That's the problem.
Right. Yeah, and I'm sure they probably got other things. I was just asking. All right. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a $400 million jumbo jet gift that the president is working on. But then he cleared up that statement. It was supposed to originally replace Air Force One, which is decades old and in disrepair, pretty much obsolete, and also a lot smaller than the new 747s. But then it was decided that they are going to gift it directly to him personally, so that he can now have 4 airplanes of his own as opposed to 3. So no worries, it's not going to benefit the U.S. government in any way. It's going to benefit the executive in chief. So that was cleared up. So yeah, those are some of the things that is currently being worked on from the White House.
Yeah, it's an interesting...
Obviously, not directly connected to UAP, but this is the business of government.
Exactly.
For anybody that says that we are apolitical or leaning one way or the other, we criticize all parties involved. Anyone that is in the way of truth and transparency to Congress and the American public, we will criticize them both equally.
Yeah. Now, remember, one thing I will bring up: Statue of Liberty, Mike. That was a gift. That was a gift from France, wasn't it?
It was.
There you go. So,
but it benefited the citizens of the United States.
And how many billions do we send off with U.S. aid?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's gone on over time. If we can, we've got Ed Brown with his hand up next, followed by Corporal Abe, and then Andy. Ed, what say you?
I'm going to say that I'm playing devil's advocate again, but listening to all this discussion of why we're not getting progress, I really think that you're never going to get progress out of those committees. I think this stuff is either so deeply buried, layers and layers of government. I'm also getting to the point where I think maybe Aaro itself is not lying to us, that they are hidden from the real truth, that they're not getting the truth. So, but here's I said I was playing devil's advocate. Here's the problem. Okay. Let's say everybody is allowed to testify. Let's say the Grusch can get in there and testify, all this discussion about his clearance. He says what he wants to say. You get to Lou and all those others in there, they all testify. You know what? 99.9% of Americans wouldn't change their opinion. They get up the next day, they go to work, and they wouldn't even be interested in.
Yeah.
It's the frustrating part. I think what we really need to dig into research-wise is why is it that this is so tightly controlled? What is it that somebody knows that they won't tell us?
What the hell are they hiding, and more importantly, why?
Absolutely, because that's what's being really hidden is the extent to which they're hiding things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got some more information from Aaro coming from Deeding Johnson. Yeah, it just seems like, well, as Tim Burchett always says it, folks, it's a cover-up, and it truly is a cover-up. Corporal Abe, what say you?
My question is basically to you, Mike, the whole audience, anybody that wants to answer. What does disclosure look like in the future? When is it going to happen? We got Aaro that I don't believe is even a legitimate part of the government. We got this new Luna task force, and I hate to say because I'm on her side, but I don't think that's going to, like Ed was saying, I don't think that's going to like deliver much at all. I think that's just for fluff and show, unfortunately. So are we going to wait another year, 2 years? Does there have to be 10 more congressional meetings? At what point? And then if there is something that is so horrible that's worth keeping covered up and a threat to humanity, when are we actually going to collectively deal with it? And is that another, like major threat, just not dealing with it?
Yeah.
So that's my question.
While Lou does say this is a marathon, this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. We're getting to the point of you're going to the men's room and all the fucking stalls are taken and someone needs to shit or get off the pot so we can actually truly address this information rather than continuing to cover it up.
That's right. Shit or get off the pot.
Yeah.
There's a line. We got a lot of other issues. And I think if disclosure happened today, that there would be no legitimate reason for a lot of other things like wars and famine, and we would be able to cooperate together and things of those natures. So, I mean, at what point in time? When are we gonna have it?
Yeah. I agree with you. Hopefully people like we've got, was it Matthew Brown who came out, Mike?
Yes, Matthew Brown.
We
correct.
need more whistleblowers like him, like David Grusch, to come forward and just start as many that can come out and just start one after the other, multiple at a time. And let's just start adding up till there is so much information coming out that the government has no, if you want to call it, recourse except start telling us the truth, which is, I think, is something a lot of us truly want.
If they keep coming out and saying the same thing that the other whistleblower said, I don't feel like that's going to move the ball any further down.
Yeah.
We need some new information.
Well, yeah, I agree. And with all this bad news that we unfortunately have no choice but to cover, Thomas and I, that is disappointing when we go into the details about everything. I can tell you the one silver lining in the cloud that I can see is that David Grusch recently had announced that the op-ed that he mentioned 2 years ago, that he got a second DOPSA clearance to release to the public. He is now finally going to be releasing that shortly. And once we get information from him on that, I think it's going to provide a lot of answers that the public had been looking for the past couple of years. So that's good news.
Thomas, do you believe, Thomas, that the FBI, like the investigation that Ross said is basically happening, and basically a criminal investigation? Do you believe that? Because it's all hinting, because the FBI knows a lot of things. It's all hinting at probably an FBI investigation going on. It's a criminal investigation that no one really knows about. It's classified. I'm not going to
Well, I don't think potentially a criminal investigation would go ahead and reveal a high definition, very detailed videos of UFOs. There's an additional investigation going out to try and find the truth. And the FBI is thinking, here's what we're dealing with, Nick. We have what we would consider a foreign entity, right? Invading the borders of our country. And not just in one state, but across multiple states, and they're affecting our military, our government, and more importantly, our people. Now, when you start getting into that national piece, it goes beyond local police, regional police. You get to it, who looks over the homeland in this respect. It's not the CIA, because the CIA is focused on everything outside of the borders of the United States. It does fall within the realm of the FBI. Now, whether they think the activity of these aliens would be considered criminal, it probably is, because if they're taking people, kidnapping them, maybe bringing them back, maybe not, causing damage to livestock, and who knows what, or actually injuring citizens or government employees or people in the military, it's something that goes well beyond the scope of the DOD, and it's where the FBI is. So yes, is the FBI investigating this? Yeah, Probably. Is it a criminal investigation? Yeah, if you would consider those criminal aliens that are not.
Are you amazed that Ross said I said months ago that there was an FBI investigation about the crash retrieval, stuff like that? Do you think they told Congress about that, or do you think they're not going to tell Congress about that?
Well, I'm sure Congress has heard it. And here's the thing. If they did have the briefing in the skiff that Elizondo and Mellon and Grusch skipped, maybe this is some additional information. But it does sound like in the briefing, specifically in the FBI, they did a tell-all and did the proper classification to the people that are in oversight. Now, if I can really quick here, actually, we've got, does that make sense, Nick? And we kind of jumped in. We've got 3 more people with their hands up. Thank you, sir. Andy W., what say you?
Yeah, it's looking like, as you've said on many times, that this seems to go to the top of your executive branch. It doesn't go to the president because he's only there for a limited amount of time. Where does, as you Americans like to say, where does the buck actually stop? How far up the executive branch does this actually hit? Also, with Nancy Mace, I think, we seem to with Nancy Mace, you've got about Luna. I think Nancy Mace is hitting a bit of a roadblock here. Luna, I have more trust in at the moment. And there was something else I was going to say, but yeah, that's gone. So.
Yeah, all good points. It's all the different members of the UAP caucus who are truly out on front on this. And we know the issue with Nancy Mace and not wanting to bring Matthew Brown as a witness. We're unaware of what potential pressures may have been put against her from different areas within the executive branch of the United States government. So it's, and I've got a tweet from Dee Johnson I want to bring up on this that covers some of these points to kind of help us understand. Yes, we do have a unacknowledged special access program that we're just talking about last night, that Mike was, that's hidden within the executive branch that members of Congress have no idea of what's going on with it, Andy.
Yeah. Also, it's just come to my mind, what the other point I was going to make about the FBI. Do they have are they that deep that, they want to obfuscate all of this where Aaro has? Or, I think I've got a little bit more confidence in the FBI and what they're doing, whether they'll bury it deep. With the current
leadership in the FBI, who's Kash Patel, I think, and what he's trying to do with the agency, it could be one of the reasons why the FBI is truly coming forward and dropping this information to Aaro, because they have it and they understand the importance of congressional oversight, and they're going along with it.
And also, we now find out that they do have a X-Files type, group of people, however many, it might be, a surrogate Fox Mulder out on his own with a Scully in tow, or it may be more. Mike,
I could tell you.
Well, I was going to say, Mike, with your previous, being a law enforcement officer, how would you consider this?
Well, I broke it down on posts, and me and Thomas have talked about it on the show. The FBI UAP working group is what they're calling it. What it currently consists of is one national manager and little over a dozen FBI agents that are spread out to cover all 50 states in the United States. So it's a small operation, to say the least.
Yeah.
But with that, they have come forward and showed Congress new materials, new videos, and information that they've been investigating. And so far, they've been successful with the work that they've been doing. Representative Eric Burlison said they're professional, organized, and it was one of the best meetings that he's ever had so far to date with them.
Can I chip in this again? We've got a few other hands waiting. So it's better than Fox Mulder being on his own in his basement. But do we know how many members Aaro actually had research in this.
No, and they're considering that classified. Their entire budget, which was allocated, they weren't fully funded, and what they're actually getting, who's actually hired, how many positions there, it's a fully classified setting, Andy.
So there may be less people than that are actually researching it than the FBI. You know, haven't even half a dozen people.
Potentially,
even
yes, but don't forget
if they're spread out. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget, we also have NASIC, which is an intelligence agency within the Air Force that actually is getting the same information that Aaro is, and they're doing their investigation. So that's yet another unknown piece of this investigation that we've never heard from before. So, and they may have the information that Aaro has gotten, and some of that truth could potentially come out.
And you know, also as well, you know, the FBI with their law enforcement background, I would put them in a higher stead than Aaro researching
yes,
this.
Sir.
You know. So yeah, that's all I've got to say for a minute.
Absolutely. Now, if I can, Andy, I've got a little piece here for you from Dean Johnson over on X. Aaro's focus on the DoD and the defense and those agencies and what can be reported to Congress, but a lot of this UAP related is at the White House level, where these programs that are not required to report to Congress, according to Eric Burlison. To Matt Laszlo, but Congress in 2022 enacted USC 3348A, requiring notice to the 4 top congressional leaders of any protected program, quote, established at the direction of the president, this being in addition to the laws requiring the DoD, IC, and DOE and other agencies to notify designated lawmakers about these special access programs. And here is, we're just sharing a just brief overview of the law to mention that including one established at the direction of the president enacted on March 15th, 2020. So Congress is somewhat aware, but we're coming down to the leader of the House, the minority of the House. We've got the majority leader in the Senate and the minority leader in the Senate. So those are the 4 individuals. You know, we're talking Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Mike Johnson, et cetera, who are these individuals that are in control of these agencies. And now it's just about figuring it all out. So, Ed, you have your hand up, my friend, and I need to go see why Mocha just ran down here and jumped into it.
Thomas, I'm pessimistic somewhat on this. I really don't think any of these agencies are ever going to give us what we are expecting or what
Mike,
we're
take
hoping
it until
for.
you're back.
Goes all the way back to Project Sign, Project Grudge, the Blue Book, all of them. For 80 years, they've been hiding this stuff, and I don't think it's going to pop out under any government kind of release. And, you know, there's a couple of reasons I think we should consider that as to why that may not occur. And that is that maybe, and I said this earlier, maybe the NHI or some within the NHI have in fact made agreements with governments to include the United States. And part of those agreements are the agreement to keep quiet about this. So all we get are tricks and puzzles and things that confuse us. The other one is that, again, maybe the public can't take it. Now, that brings us to, you were quoting Matthew Brown just a little bit ago on his Unhinged interview with Jeremy. The third part, I don't know if you've listened to this yet, but the third part is an eye-opener right at the last sentence. When Jeremy looks at him and says, is there anything you think people need to know? And his answer was, you are not free. And he alludes to something like we're in a matrix. And then he said, there is a God. Now, there's a big message hiding inside that. That if he's got any credibility, we need to decipher exactly what that means.
I would tend to agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Ed. Yeah.
Very much
But
so.
He also said God is real.
He did.
That was his ending statement. Yeah.
The very last words that he spoke at the end of part 3 of that interview was God is real. Well, there is a God. The exact wording was there is a God.
Okay, so if he's, let's say, insinuating that he only discovered that statement that he made because of his access to the information that the government has been keeping away from the public, It's a bold statement, and it would be something that would require absolute proof and evidence that God is real. And we haven't seen that anywhere.
Well, but see, Mike, again, that is the problem that we have been discussing that I brought up a couple of times. It may well be, and there's 2 points to this. One is we will never know what it is until the NHI tell us. And 2, we may be absolutely, totally surprised at what we find out. And I guess the 3rd point is that's going to occur on September of 2026.
Well,
There's a lot.
according to AI, maybe.
There's a lot of conflicting evidence, though. We got the 2027 thing. We got the 5 different species things. We got Matt Brown saying there's God. I believe in God. But what's really going on, and who's going to put the big boy pants on here and explain something to us, right? And if it's going to be Aaro, DOD, the president, some other country, who, at what point in time, who can we follow and where can we go with this? This is ridiculous.
Abe, I think we're saying we can't follow any of those. I don't think we could get the answers out of Congress, out of the president, out of Aaro, out of any part of the government. And I've been listening to several podcasts, and people are just getting so frustrated saying, essentially, the government will never tell us. Never. It's not a matter of when. They will never tell us.
And I agree with that.
It's going to come through another channel.
I agree with that. So then, with that being said, what the hell is keeping the whistleblowers from disclosing everything they have? You know, like, why do we have to keep playing this slow burn game of delivering information?
Well, the answer,
we got to wait 10 more years.
Well, the answer
figure out if God is real.
They don't want to be put in jail.
Right. That's exactly it. That's correct.
Yeah. Now, one little thing I just want to clarify. I found the post on this with the picture. So, where did it go again in here? All right. Anapolina Luna. Get back to this, talking with Eric Burlison, but let me get this up here. Document, guest desktop. Let me bring this across. This is where they're going and saying, coming from UAP James out of the Ask a Poll, Matt Laszlo clip, saying, we're going to, as you can see here, first of all, we've got, where to go? Anapolina Luna is sitting in the car. We've got Eric Burlison out here. We've got Joe Khalil. And the person taking from News Nation, and the person who's taking the picture is Matt Laszlo. So this is how they literally did tag team all of these individuals in this meeting. Now, coming out of it, the one quote that they had was, digging through the audio, which is a bit rough, we're going to get them back on the books and see if they show up. They had the skiff flu. So that is the exact quote coming from Anapolina Luna. So, well, if that's what she's saying is, and my message is, we got the skiff. You guys need to be here for the skiff briefings. So something's going on where if all 3 individuals, something, you know what reminds me of, Mike, the old, what do you call it? Adage of Marcia from the Brady Bunch, where she said, something suddenly came up.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I'm going to, okay. Hold on one second. I'm just in all the activity moving forward. In the post that I had put up that we covered here on the show about them getting the skiff flu, somebody had sent a reply. And it was a picture of a fish. And in
might take it. I got to deal with the dog again. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. He said that it was something fishy going on here, with all of them seemingly coming down with the flu all of a sudden. And then Matt Laszlo reposted that reply to the post that we just covered that I put up. So that shows you that people agree that something doesn't quite smell right about this. And I believe that to be true. I agree as well. Something's just not right. They waited this amount of time to get into the skiff, and they all conveniently came down with skiff flu at the same time. It's peculiar, to say the least. What does everybody in the back chat think about that? Laura, your hand is up, so you'll go next.
Yeah, it's very suspicious. You know, your mind goes right away to, gee, did somebody give them a weapon? You know, give them some poison or something going on there, or is it they're obviously in different parts of the country and world, and it could have been there's a lot of people getting sick, but yeah, there's something up with that. Also, I would say Aaro, of course, never should have been established. Always been a fly trap for everybody from the get-go. The FBI, the problem I have with the FBI is that, number one, they're just focused on the United States, and obviously this is a worldwide events. And also their focus is just on security and seeing it as a danger. And that's, of course, the FBI, it's always, crime. And it's not the other side of the coin where they've called in these crafts, beings, entities, whatever phenomena, and there hasn't been anything negative going on with it. There have been positive messages. So you want to have an agency that can look at it holistically and not just from a narrow band of, ooh, they're going to be dangerous. We got to do something, get some weapons and start shooting them down in Washington. So, yeah, I wish there was something other than the FBI, other than Aaro, other than something much better and higher than everything else.
Yeah, I would agree. We need the truth to come out. And I think the closest that we're going to get to that, Laura, is when finally we get to see the op-ed that David Grusch is going to be releasing soon. I've been waiting for that, and Thomas and I have been talking about this for over 2 years already. And now we're at a point where we might actually get to see it. And we have a pretty good idea, Thomas and I, of what's going to be in that op-ed. We can't wait for it to come out.
Well,
We've talked about it before.
Timing is interesting because his court case now is June 2nd, unless that changed. So he better get rolling on everything.
Hopefully so.
Well, he said a few weeks. Yeah, hopefully before June 2nd. I'd like to see that. We'll see if it happens or not.
Yeah.
And Thomas, I sent you a DM of the reply from Matt Laszlo on the post that we just covered.
Yeah.
You want to put it up?
Sure.
Yeah,
I'll go ahead and put it up
funny.
in 1 second. I just want to go ahead and share. I have a picture up here. The McMinimumville. That is a name, but it's a tongue twister, my friends. McMinimumville. UFO Festival is going on this weekend, and there's been, Lou Elizondo has been there giving speeches along with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, and here we see hanging out together Ivan Hanel, who's been on the channel several times in the past, who's one of Lou Elizondo's personal attorneys, who's a disclosure advocate as well. We've got Danny Sheen in the middle, and you got Lou Elizondo.
I'm a personal attorney.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing Danny and Ivan standing next to each other. Usually there's a lot of tension, but sometimes for the greater good of all, you need to go ahead and look beyond that to go ahead and
have
actually.
the new wife in the same picture with the old wife. I agree.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let me go ahead and bring up now my messages. Let's get to that. Hold on, and I'll bring it up in a second. All right. Share to post. Oh yeah, actually that one. Yeah, we saw that one up there before. That's from Brian Kelly. You said one.
Yeah, but Matt Laszlo reposted it.
Ivan Hanel. Oh, so okay. Ivan Hanel reposted this one for you. Gotcha.
Matt Laszlo reposted it.
Yeah, something smells fishy. Yeah.
Matt Laszlo.
Yeah.
Reposted it from Escapol.
Absolutely.
So he's agreeing that something smells fishy with them all getting sick at the same time.
Some more pictures of Lou hanging out to go ahead next to a person. Lou's a dog lover, absolutely. A dog is loving the pets. And what else we've got? Lou here standing with someone with a interesting face mask, to say the least. Wow, that guy's tall.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I would feel standing next to Lou, because I'm probably about the same height as that guy. I'm 6'4".
Yep. And Lou is about 5'6".
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Absolutely. Anything else? Oh yeah, going down and taking a picture. People are saying he's getting mobbed with individuals at the festival. Well, if you're at a UFO festival and you're Lou Elizondo, you are in the zone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Mike.
Well, yeah. Listen, because of all the hate that he's been receiving recently, for him to be out in public with real live people, not people behind keyboards, and getting all that love. That's nice to see.
Yeah.
For a change, instead of all the hatred.
Oh, yeah. It gets a little old now, still talking about some additional pictures that are out there. I've got another one here of, here we go, Jeremy Corbell along with George Knapp. And then George is definitely pushing on that to hold himself up. And then you've got George here. He's got a little bit. George looks like he's in a little bit of pain right there. I hope he's doing all right, Mike.
Well, listen, George has been doing this over 38 years. He's not a spring chicken anymore. So, you know, it's nice to see him out and about, but, you know, you'd have to hope that he's going to be okay. He's doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. We love all these guys, especially Jeremy Corbell. You know, Jeremy Corbell has taken so much heat and hatred from different people throughout the past about what he's doing. But you know what? When it comes down to it, he's not just talking about it like some other news people that are out there whose name I'm not going to mention him, but Jeremy is actually really delivering on some heavy-hitting whistleblowers here.
Yeah, very interesting what's been coming out of both Corbell and Knapp. But in George Knapp, I can tell you that he's absolutely legendary on this topic for over 38 years. Look, he is he's the only person that went all the way to Russia in 91 when the wall fell and the Soviet Union collapsed and recovered UAP files and information from the Russian government and smuggled them back into the United States.
Yeah.
All these other people that claim to be, tried and true journalists, George Knapp is a legend in the journalism community. So God bless him, and I hope he's all right. And he has done amazing work. And you want to know something? I know he retired there for a while, but he's back at it hard with Corbell and bringing people like Matthew Brown forward. So George Knapp is a treasure for us.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't agree with you more, my friend. Absolutely. Let's get to it then. Who has their hand up next? Andy, your hand is up, my friend.
I'm going to jump back 10, 15 minutes or something that Ed brought up with the Matthew Brown interview, the tail end of it now.
Yeah.
Personally, as an atheist, I found that Matthew Brown saying that God exists was...
God is real.
God is real, but I don't want to say it's unpalatable. You know, I'll find out whether there's a God or not when it's my time to depart this mortal coil. And I'm not disparaging anybody. I'm not disparaging Ed. Ed's either going to be proved right or wrong next year, isn't he? And I love Ed to bits. But I just also want to say, with the recent interview by Corbell of Matthew Brown, actually, I know people slag Corbell off an awful lot. And if you're listening, Jeremy, and you ever see this, I'm with you, man. I thought his interviewing style was very, very good on the Matthew Brown interview. He didn't let his emotions get away from him. He can be a very good interviewer when he wants to be, and I hope he takes that for if he brings out anybody else. I hope he brings out that part of his persona comes out a lot more. Doesn't let the emotions get a part of him.
Yeah. No, I believe I do have a clip of that for you, Andy, to go ahead and play. If you can just mute when you're not talking for right now. We're getting a lot of overcast on the television. Thank you.
That being said, I could say one thing else, Andy.
Oh, shit, Mike, I muted you on accident. Sorry.
I know. It's okay. I got it. Both Knapp and Corbell said at the end of that interview that Matthew Brown is not the last whistleblower coming forward that they're dealing with and working with. There are several more that are going to be coming out soon. I agree.
I'm going to very quickly say on that point, Mike, I hope he's the start, if not of at least the stream, if not the stream, the river. I hope they've got more people to follow this guy, and they keep hitting with sucker punches. Now it's high time people start walking the walk instead of talking the talk. Matthew Brown has come out, whether people believe he's genuine or not. If as he says, there are plenty more to follow him. Even if anything happens, these people, if they're listening to this show, you need to start talking the talk, people. It's not for people like me who've not got any vested interest in this, or I have an interest, but I've experienced things. I want to know what the hell I'm seeing. It's up to the people who are actually dealing with this shit.
Yes.
Who are actually got their hands on, get their hands dirty, to come forward and start letting everybody know what is actually happening out there.
Really quick, any CLI, if you can connect us with Jeremy Corbell, that would be wonderful. I've got the video of the stuff in Malta, which has not gotten any attention, and that video, and even the one that took place down in Sentinel, Arizona, from Nikki. These are two amazing videos that we've gotten here at Disclosure tonight through viewers of our show and people who used to work on the show that deserve attention because they represent some monumental things that have gone on in the past couple of years that only the people within the sphere of Disclosure tonight have truly seen. Would love the connection. Also, let's I want to go ahead and play this clip here really quick before we get to Ashes. I think this is the one where Matthew Brown says God is real. Let's see if this is it. I searched for it. This is what it gave me. Let's roll the Twitter dice and see where it takes us.
You are not free. And this reality has far more to it than you have been allowed to believe. And God is real.
There we go. Hey, Mike, we're getting your television set bleeding into your mic when you're not talking.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It's a iPad that my small child is listening to in the background. I'll take care of it.
Cool. Thanks, man. Yeah. Again, God is real. There's the end of the clip. So, Andy, it's just, again, he's very stoic. He's very, we call it stoic. We could call it very, I think, you know what? This explains somber. When someone finds out the truth of what's really been going on, this may be what Lou was talking about. Let me play this clip one more time.
I'm going to jump in. I know Ashes, our friend Ashes, has got her hand up, but he's either a very good actor or when I saw the first part of this, I've seen all three interviews. I've listened to all three. When I actually saw the first one, when he started talking, there was a look of absolute terror in the guy's eyes. Now he's either a very good actor or he's genuine. Time will tell, I will guess. And again, I was just about to put, I have no problem with people with faith or anything. This is my own, being an atheist is my own personal belief. I'm prepared to be proved wrong. I'm a believer in UFOs because I've seen UFOs. Personally, I've yet to see anything to do with God.
Yeah.
So, I'm not, I don't wish to offend anybody who does believe, so, but yeah, from what I've seen of this guy, this Matthew Brown, my personal feeling, my gut feeling is the guy's genuine. Just look at his eyes when he starts. He looks exceedingly frightened. He lightens up a bit. I don't want to say lightens up, but he loosens up a little bit more as he begins to talk. I think it's that the initial of actually telling people what his experiences are. By the end of it, he's happier talking. It's you can see the weight coming off of his shoulders.
Right. Now here's the one thing. And Matthew Brown, in his interview, did go ahead and talk about that we are in a restricted reality. We can only learn so much, know so much, all the different things that are there. We always talk about humans, how we're a forgetting society to a degree. That could be part of our quote-unquote design. So the thing is, if he has access to the information, he knows it knows about it. Not only is he potentially a target from our government, but he could potentially be a target from the non-human intelligence as well. What do they call it? The hitchhiker effect, potentially.
Yeah, if the unfortunate thing that Matthew Brown becomes unalived, I'll use that term, in the near future, potentially we know that actually the guy was right. If if he gets jailed. There's one thing that there's two ways the American government can take this. They'll either throw the guy in jail forever, or three ways. They'll throw him in jail forever, they'll unalive him, or they'll just ignore him. Either way, the first two options show that somebody's guilty of something. If he's just ignored, then it's up to everybody out there to make their own decisions on this guy. So, we'll see how it plays out.
All right. I do not believe what he says. All right. So I've been asked by the audience to go ahead and throw up a quick, if you want to call it, survey. Let me go ahead and bring this up, get the music up and going. Hey, Google, start a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds, please. All right, audience.
All right. 1 minute and 30 seconds.
This is your opportunity to go ahead and vote. What do you think? Matthew Brown, whistleblower Matthew Brown, I trust what he says is the truth, or I do not believe what he says. Overwhelmingly, out of the gate, we're at 91% or 90%. 9 out of 10 people who are saying, yes, I trust what he says is the truth. And I don't think we're getting, we may get movement. We got 49 votes in, 50 votes in. This is your opportunity. Mike, how would you vote on this?
I already voted, and I said that I believe a lot of what he's saying is true.
Right, absolutely. Andy, how would you vote?
I'm in 100% agreement with Mike on that one. Yeah, I voted, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. With just 35 seconds to go, Abe, leave your hand up. How would you vote on this?
I'm 50-50. I need evidence. That's it.
All right.
I can't just go off of words.
So you're saying I need more than trust me, bro.
You got to give me something.
Yeah.
You can just show me something, and I'll go in that direction. But you can't just. Everybody's talking. There's too many different things out there.
Yeah.
I need evidence.
Good point, my friend. Ashes, with just less than 20 seconds left. How would you vote on this?
I do believe in what he's saying, but to bounce off of that, I also think, how do you prove something like that? How do you prove a simulation? To get philosophical here, if we are truly in a simulation, how would you prove it? And how would you prove God exists? People who believe in God because it's a choice that they make.
Rather than a simulation, could it be that we are in a terrarium?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I think it's the same for people who are curious about what happens when we die. People have had near-death experiences.
But it's not just that, it's even out-of-body experiences, which is something that I can do. And they say that OBE and the different stuff that goes along with it is also proof of consciousness that exists from humans outside of the body, meaning the consciousness of their soul is within us, but potentially it comes to us at conception and it leaves us at death.
And I believe in that because I've experienced near-death experiences. I've had out-of-body experiences. I've had remote viewing experiences, although in my culture we didn't call it that. I've been in shamanism before. I've experienced different religions, and I can tell you that it's all up to the individual to believe or not believe. So it's a choice that I think that we make, and I'm wondering if he is right, if we do live in a simulation, how would they prove that? We could go into, the president could bring out an extraterrestrial in front of us, down in a dome somewhere, show us the whole area of everything, and people will still think it's staged. It's a choice that we make to believe or not to believe. I believe.
But if you noticed on here,
there's still people who think that OJ is innocent, for instance.
Yeah. Well, voting is closed. These are our final results coming out of this, out of 77 viewers on this channel, subscribers on the channel, because they have to subscribe in order to chat and in order to vote. Out of 77 votes, 91% of our audience says, yeah, I trust what he says. And there's the thing. I didn't put believe in there for a reason. Believe is like, I believe in Santa Claus. I believe in the Easter Bunny. I believe in these ancient tales that have gone. That's that's the step that I wasn't wanting our audience to go. Now, I do not believe is what I put in there for the people who are the naysayers, but for the people that, for me, the magic word is trust. I trust what this person is saying. I can't say that about some of the other whistleblowers that have come out, as to the finest, and other people along those lines.
I understand. So in that case, then I will use the word trust. I trust in my faith. I trust in what he believes, or what he says. Sorry, it's hard to not use the word believe.
I know, and it took me a little bit of time to write that. Figure out what can I put in there besides believe? Trust, because that's what it comes down to. For me, this individual comes down as a very trustworthy. Let me just play this one little clip here again. It's pivotal.
You are not free. And this reality has far more to it than you have been allowed to believe.
So this is based on all the knowledge that he's sifted through that is in the bowels of the DOD's or our intelligence community's classified information.
Yeah.
And God is
Otherwise,
real.
I believe that as the audience, we can empathize with people if we have not experienced ourselves. But to actually trust what's going on, I think we have to learn through experience.
Yep. Yeah. It's strong statements. And here the thing is, all of our different religions on the planet, majority of them have a god or gods up in the sky, not in the sky, beyond in our, whatever you call it. It doesn't matter about the details. The part of it is going across all religions. There's a lot of similarities that go beyond it. And this is maybe what Matthew is trying to acknowledge, because there is this other bigger thing that's out there that the government may be aware of. And they're just not telling us. And that's the scary part.
Well, it also sounds to me like what Matthew Brown was describing is that this seems to be an information lockdown coming from the powers that be to prevent the public from having access to information that we are not allowed to be aware of, like we're not alone on this planet, like there are physics that exist far beyond the limited understanding that we currently have. He was talking in detail about that during the interview. It may also be that when he's referencing God, that with what he discovered about the NHI, non-human intelligence, that he feels, because he also said this publicly, he said they've been here a long time, maybe even longer than we've been here. And as such, they may be like God with their advanced technology.
Right, but but there's a difference between the little g gods, like the sky gods that they've talked about in Ancient Aliens and everywhere else in different religions, versus the big universal one that's out there. And it all comes down to perception of what's happening on the planet. So the little g gods could be like the Greys, aliens, the reptilians, etc. But there's something bigger well beyond that, is what I think he's referring to. Everyone's got a different opinion on it. That's just what mine is.
That's true. No, you're right. That's a good point. But I think that's what he may have been referencing when he made those statements.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't know because he didn't provide any additional information.
Limited information at best.
But he did. Yeah, exactly. And no proof to back any of the claims up, which I agree with Abe and Ashley, and you and I have said this countless times already. You can say whatever you want out there publicly. You can step forward. Claim to have knowledge. All you have to do is back it up. Just bring us the evidence to support your claims. That's all. Not complicated. And we haven't gotten it, so it remains in question at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. Now to go ahead, Mike, and just follow up on a little bit of science news. Like I recommended for all of our viewers last night, go outside and look up. The Aurora Borealis was kicking up, and it was one heck of a strong light show that was not actually expected, but it was there. It happened. Let me go ahead, and I've got some really beautiful images of the aurora from some of the people that I follow over on X. It's a beautiful sight. I have to say this time and time again. Let's get to it. Our first one is coming to us from Giant's Causeway in Ireland, Northern Ireland. Absolutely beautiful sky. We've got a beautiful arc going on. This is probably during one of the substorms that was happening. Let me go to my next one that I've got here. This is in Burrow Beach, Sutton, Dublin. Again, a beautiful show that was going last night. And if you're in Europe, there's any clear skies, there's a good chance that the solar... Let me go ahead and take a look here at my favorite site and see where we're at right now. Things have quieted down a bit, but we've got more stuff coming along. Not much of a show going on tonight in Europe, but there's a good chance we could get hit from the coronal hole stream coming from the sun that could actually light things up a bit more. Let me get back from this. Let me get back to the X page that I was just on. Let's get some more beautiful pictures out there to share on this stuff. And these are coming up. Oh, this is from up in Canada last night. Absolutely beautiful. Jeremy Rand is a phenomenal photographer. When he hears about it, he drops everything. We'll get into his car, drive for 3-4 hours to go ahead and get past cloud cover and to get beautiful sights of things that are out there. And I believe this one streak we're showing here, there actually was, I've got a better one to go ahead and show, that was a shot coming from a Chinese rocket that went up last night, but it was absolutely beautiful in time lapses. Here's another one that Jeremy was able to get, and another one where it was just kind of going and having the ribbons going across. This next one came to us from Drumheller, Canada. Beautiful sight of a windmill off in the distance. Yes, wind. We've used it for a long time. For energy. Let's see if we have anything else in here. Anaplina, Luna, Lou, and the whole bit. Here we go. This was in Wilkie, Saskatchewan, Canada. It's been a crazy bright night tonight, allowing me to get some half-decent pictures. Here's one that was directly overhead. And this is the kind of stuff, how it looked when we had the major aurora borealis going on over the Pacific Northwest on May 10th of last year. We've got another one. You can just see they call this structure a cinnamon bun because it kind of wraps around and has that kind of a height going along to it. Here's another great shot of it. Jeremy here does some phenomenal photography and shares it on X all the time. This was at another one of the Giant's Causeway. Someone got out and stood on the causeway and welcoming in, and this is coming from Alistair Hamill photography. Next one is from southern Manitoba earlier in the night, again directly overhead. It's just the arcs and everything that are going up there is absolutely beautiful. This one's interesting. I think this is it. This was in Farmington, New Mexico. So yeah, even down in New Mexico, the aurora was being seen. This was done with a hyperlapsing on the Galaxy S24. Let's play this, and I think we're going to get, there we go, it's going up, and we should have, there it goes, going across the sky. Now, Linda Thompson, who's a regular on X and talks a lot about UFOs and stuff, wanted the person to reach out to it because she thought they've seen this kind of stuff before. It could potentially be a UFO, but in reality, what it sounds like, what this actually was just the second stage of a Chinese rocket that was going up last night. This was initially before at the start of the storm. The Aurora guy, also known as Vincent Ledvina, was talking about the very large coronal hole on the sun that is sending a lot of energy directly towards sun, exciting our atmosphere and bringing things up. Earlier in the night, we had from northern Idaho. That's right, Two Midgets on a Horse. That's why I hope to see some stuff for you guys sometimes when I give you the alert. Here we go. It's just not as strong as it, but I bet if they kept on looking at the different times throughout the night, they could have gotten some greater stuff, because if they were able to get in New Mexico, that's a lot farther south than what can be seen up in northern Idaho. Here's another one. Oh, there we go. Around 8 p.m. with the clouds coming through. Got purples and greens. Absolutely just beautiful sights of the aurora borealis going on. And you know, we're in the peak of the solar cycle right now. So if this is something you're interested in, just keep an eye to the sky, because there'll be a lot of opportunities. Now, when you're actually seeing the aurora during the evening, you need a a camera or a cell phone camera to actually go ahead and see what's going on in the sky, because a lot of times it'll just look like gray wispy clouds moving around, but in reality when you bring out the phone and or camera and start taking the picture, you'll see the amazing light show that's going on from good old Mother Nature and from our sun coming out of it. This was at the very earlier in the night. They were just saying this is in Isle Royal in the northern peninsula of Michigan. Just dipped in at, here we go, we can see it off in the distance coming up in here. So yeah, it was out there, it was happening, and this was in Provincial Park in Manitoba, just starting off early in the night as it built through it. Now, the Aurora Borealis, when it starts up and gets going, you'll actually go ahead and actually it'll be there, but it actually comes in waves over time to when you'll see it. It'll be there, it'll die down, and then it'll come back again. It's just, you know, even if you're an armchair Aurora viewer like I am, as it's going on, if you follow the right people on X, you'll start seeing the pictures and videos, and sometimes there's cameras all around the world where you can go ahead and watch the live feed. Yeah, I wanted to go ahead and share that tonight, Mike, because this is one of the things I'm into besides UFOs. It's, you know, when you're going out and you're looking up, there's other things up there besides UFOs.
Oh, no, those photos that you had put up are truly amazing. Breathtaking images. It's nature's beauty, and it's nice to be able to share that with the audience. I agree, Thomas.
Oh, yeah. Damn the dogs. All right, is there anything else I missed here? Mike, we've had a great show today. Oh, God, there's actually more. There's actually more. I've got a couple more just to get to it because I want everyone to experience this as well. Let's get to it. This is from last night. It was just kicking up as well, just about 20 hours ago. This is, I'm not sure where this is. Montana. This was a current situation in Montana, United States. Also, Rachel Cassidy brought this one out, and beautiful pictures again, the greens, the purples, and everything. The columns going in the sky. It's just, again, cameras can get you so far, but a lot of times you can go ahead and see some amazing things. All right, and this was what I shared at the start of the show last night, going ahead and showing, yes, there, it just popped in out of, I went to go ahead and something said check the forecasting, what's happened, and as soon as I got there, it had just literally popped from something slow to pretty freaking large. Actually, I can bring up this one here, go to that one, bring this one up here, let's go ahead and play it. So you can see last night, right when I went to look at it, it had just popped, and you can see as it went along, it was pretty powerful going down into northern, northern Washington and other areas, and it just continued on. You can see that it popped in energy up and down, so you can see we were definitely getting hit at that point where almost the entire state of Washington where I live was covered. So auroras, they're out there. It's a great thing. It's a beauty part of our atmosphere and our planet that it's something that you don't see every day.
Oh yeah, and Montana, it's also known as Big Sky Country.
Yeah,
which is obviously true with those photos that you just showed.
Oh gosh, yes. And I think
beautiful.
Let me double check X, see if there's anything else that I'm missing here that just popped up. Lots of tornadoes going on. It's weather season. Everyone loves tornadoes for that matter. No, we don't, but we like to look at the pictures of them. Let's get to this one. Got one here. This is down in Pauls Valley, Oklahoma. Got a twister coming down. We've got another one going on. It doesn't say where this one is at. There's another twister happening. Part of the crew of the guys who are out there going and chasing these storms. Another tornado that was out there. This is just in the regular feed of Twitter of the people that I follow. It's just some amazing stuff going on. So on that note, let me go ahead and jump out of here, get back to it. Harold, do you have your hand up, my friend?
I was just wondering if you're going to mention...
Hey, you're really, really quiet from your mic.
I was just going to wonder if you're going to mention the Ross Colpert's interview with that couple from Arizona and Nevada.
I did not see the interview of the people down south from there, my friend. And your mic is on something else because when you're talking, it sounds really, really muffled and quiet. All right.
All right. I was just wondering because they said they found a portal or something down at the end of the canyon in there or something, man. And then they said the government's trying to box in the area or something because they can't control the traffic coming through the portal and stuff. So they're just trying to section off a portion of a canyon or something.
I have not heard about that news at all, my friend.
All right. Well, maybe we'll look into it after the show or something.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds wonderful. Thank you for coming in. It's a long time no see, Harold. Great to see you back.
All right.
All right, Mike, anyone else in the panel? Anything else we haven't covered today?
No, I think we covered what's been currently going on that we've also been covering on previous shows and the gist of everything going on this topic all week. And there was a lot. And hopefully there's still more to come. But I think we're good for today.
Oh, absolutely. I want to thank everybody for coming out. Mike, what a great show. We've had such a great show, my friend. I want to go ahead and where's this at? I want to thank, how did that move over there? Don't do that. I want to go ahead and thank our members for the Super Chats tonight. Remember, we are a fan-funded program. We appreciate every donation that comes in, large or small. More importantly, who gave us some Super Chat tonight? I think we got one from Vern Dude for $1. Thank you, Vern Dude, for breaking that and sending a Super Chat. I also want to thank our audience for being here. Thank you very much. Everyone in the back, we appreciate you for everything that you do and the participation we have. So, Mike, I appreciate, thank you for being here and thank you to the audience.
Oh, you're quite welcome, my friend. And I thank the audience for joining us as well. It was interesting conversation by everybody and a lot of interesting topics and information that we went over and discussed together. So, I really enjoyed it. And thank you for doing this as well, my friend.
Yeah, my back is out. I need to go hit the recliner. I feel like shit. So that's why I'm trying to bring this to a close quickly. And on that note, Mike, as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, meaning you have to have your eyes open to see everything, and don't ever be afraid of what you're seeing, because even if it's scary, once you have fear, you've got something you're putting out an emotion, a negative emotion that's something out there maybe wanting you to get that. So eyes open, no fear. And when you're in fear, you're not thinking right. So on that note, eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone. And, of course,
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you all on the flip side. Love you all. You all come back now here. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.